we know that affordable housing actually remain a pressing issue, no matter how we want to put it. So from your experience, what innovative approach can make housing both sustainable and also accessible?
That's a very thoughtful question. What innovative approaches can make housing both sustainable and accessible? Um, so that's one of the most urgent challenges facing our cities today, not just in Nigeria, I mean everywhere, even the developed regions. So for many Nigerians, owning or even renting a decent home has become almost impossible. Studies show that Nigeria has a housing deficit of over 20 million units, and the average cost of a modest two-bedroom apartment in many cities is far beyond what most people can afford. So when we talk about innovation in this context, so innovation is not just about technology, right? It's about creating system in this context, system that can make housing truly accessible. So from what I have learned working with organizations, here, one key lesson is that government intervention makes all the difference. In Florida, the state has a housing trust fund that supports low-income families through mortgage assistance. In other states also, and even in the Europe, you hear about rent stabilization, you hear about affordable housing programs. I mean, these policies keep people from being pushed or being priced out of the cities or being pushed out of their homes. So Nigeria needs something similar.
The federal government already instituted mortgage facilities. I think there's one MREF that is going on now with some of these insurance companies. I am familiar with the MREF. However, I was going to come from the angle of the GIS and the spatial analysis. Where do we bring that into urban planning?
Okay, so GIS, which stands for Geographic Information System, I would say is truly transforming how we plan and manage cities, right? So just think of it as a tool that helps you see patterns and relationships that ordinary data cannot show. Now we've been talking about these, 100% and 60% of people are living in informal settlements and all that. Just think about it as something that helps you see patterns and relationships like spatially. For example, in my research here, I use GIS to overlay housing affordability data with flood risk zones. So this reviews, it shows the spatial relationship between affordable housing and flood risk. So what that reviews is really striking, right? So in Florida, for instance, we'll see patterns, we'll see how much of affordable housing units are located in different risk flood zones. So without GIS, those numbers they will be hidden in spreadsheets. But with these, planners can see where vulnerable people live and prioritize intervention. So now imagine applying that same power in Africa. Of course, such exists anyway, but I feel like the consistency is not there yet. So, where we can map informal settlements, monitor land use changes, and track how new development affects floodplains, our green spaces, tools like GIS allow decision makers to say, here is where we should build housing, here is where we need stronger drainage systems and all that. So it makes planning more inclusive and transparent. So when maps are public, another thing we don't have in Africa, specifically Nigeria, is we don't make our maps publicly available. When they are made publicly available, the communities, people can see the risks and even contribute to their own data. So that's why there's one thing we call participatory mapping, where people, help define their own future. Okay. In Nigeria and other African countries, we need to invest more in data infrastructure and open geospatial platforms. So we could even move from reactive planning, reactive planning is just like responding after disaster. So after the flooding has happened, that's when we'll now start responding and start, looking to demolish buildings that were not supposed to be built in the first place.
Okay.
We'll move that to proactive planning and then just to prevent risks before they happen. So in short, GIS isn't just a technical tool, it's a language that helps city understand themselves and plan smarter.
Okay, so I'll take you back a little. You talked about housing, that one of the major issues when we talk about urban planning development is housing. And of course, it's part of the conversation we have right now, affordable housing. So when we talk about affordable housing, what are we looking at really? Is it just in terms of money, building affordable house and just that? Or there is a clear definition of the word affordable housing?
So affordable housing is not just, so when we talk about affordable housing, like affordable, something you can afford, like you pay for it and yet you are not cost burdened. So I think universally, if you are paying over 30% of your income on housing, then it is not affordable. You are going to be cost burdened. So it is not just, and beyond that, it's not just giving people a roof over their heads. It's about giving them a stake in the city. So when people have stable homes, you can afford it, you are not cost burdened. Whatever you are paying, whatever money or finance or funds that goes into it does not really put you in a position where you can afford other things, and you have stake in the community, right? So, it makes you can participate in the economy. You can send your kids to school. You can plan for the future. So that's the foundation of inclusive urban development in that sense. But then in Nigeria today, the cost of housing is, far beyond the reach of the average citizens. Many low and medium income families spend over 40% of their income on rent, while home ownership is, it's significantly low. So there's a serious gap, and we can't build sustainable cities if the majority of urban residents can afford to live decently within them.